Okay, so the bulls continue to lead with Bitcoin. So we're going to talk about Bitcoin and we're going to talk about Mara stock because there is a lot of fear in Mara stock right now that I want to address, mainly due to the stock being very underwhelming when it comes to, how Bitcoin is trending. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk more detail about that and why I say everything I say in the previous videos, and it's just to remind everyone where Mars stock stands when it comes to the actively trading side of it and the current value that it's in. So everything I'm saying in this video, guys, is just my own personal opinion. It's I'm not telling anyone to buy or sell or to do anything specifically. I'm just sharing with you guys what I am personally doing. So just keep that in mind. So before we jump into Mara, let's go over Bitcoin. So there is a lot, and if you guys been keeping up with macro headlines, I get a ton of notifications on them. I'm not sure if you guys do as well, but if you're aware, there's a lot of bullish, a lot of optimistic news coming out. And what we have is actually Bitcoin attempting to make a new all time high. I don't think it has already. It's very, very close. And it probably will by the time I'm done recording. But it is Wednesday. We have two more trading days left in this week. Um, and Bitcoin is trending much, much higher. So with that being said, the BitU position is higher in in profit. It's like just over 5K in profit right now, but we're still uh, a a decent gap away from the 128K line where I plan to start shaving it. But I want to go over the health aspect of this structure, right? What it actually looks like, what it's telling me personally, because I may be tempted to sell the position and reaccumulate in it as a new position for BitU. So I'm going to show you guys what I'm looking at with Bitcoin. So very nicely, we saw the short-term resistance break. It held for a little bit. If you guys were keeping an eye on short-term, retracements with this pump higher, you know that we came into it very nicely and we held in the discounted portion of it, the 0.618 retracement at 118.9K. We held it very nicely and didn't break below. I was keeping an eye on it. Even with this pump upwards, Bitcoin didn't max out the RSI, so it was, I was keeping an eye on it because it was very likely that support will hold. And then we actually broke out of the short-term resistance, which again, in my opinion, was expected because eyes are for higher prices, and what's backing up higher prices? Well, we're still in a bull market, but really it's the anticipation of a rate cut happening next month, just because the jobs report was bad, CPI came in actually decent, and if you guys, there's like some websites for it, but like the expectations for a rate cut are like 90 something percent. It's extremely high. So we have a lot of optimism running into Bitcoin. And I've had this extension area short term as a short term extension for resistance for the last like 2 or 3 days now. We're still working our way to the higher end of it, but here's what this is telling me. Here's what I'm looking at: the amount of liquidity that could potentially be removed from Bitcoin, at least in the short term, as we break this previous swing high, which is uh, the all-time high, and I think we're about to break it any moment. But the thing is, the moment we do and we break over it, like I wouldn't be surprised if short-term volume begins to shift, and we can then pay attention to once again. Because if I show you guys real quick, it was I always like to see the point 0.5 extension to either get hit or broken. In this case, it was at 117.1K. We never actually even neared it. We just broke into support, which is good enough. But when we're looking at a breakout where Bitcoin trends higher, breaks previous resistances, and then it has like a strong candle upward breaking, close to all time high, and all we get in the correction is slightly into support. Again, it's absolutely fine, but when it comes to being more like conservative and healthy, when it comes to the the structures we're looking at with Bitcoin, I would rather see the point 0.5 get broken. So it's very, very much possible that, because we've been trending upwards very nicely for a while, and I've used previous structures within this uptrend to give this extension area. Like the moment we break upwards over 124,000, and by the time we reach 125, or even get close to 126K, the idea of Bitcoin coming down and having a reasonable retracement would actually be acceptable. It will be very healthy as well, just because we never got that point 0.5 broken. So here's what I'm trying to say. The BitU position, I'll show it again tomorrow, maybe, if I end up doing a transaction or not. But you will see it again before the weekend. The thing is, if we trend higher and the position goes much more into the profit, the moment we are in the premium section of this extension area, before we get up to 128K, it's very likely that we can come down into support. So it's simple, right? It's like, Bitcoin's holding this uptrend. We're pretty far away from it. I think this ascending uptrend is a bit too conservative now. I believe we have, eyes on this one, which is a bit more in line with optimism that we have right now in the chart. So, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm still like expecting a little bit of higher prices. We can see a little bit of fluctuations, like it can fluctuate, but the idea is that we extend this area and then we have a reasonable correction before we go up and break 128K. Now, with that being said, though, I am going to follow the price higher with this retracement area, because I think we actually made a new all-time high. I think so. I think we're like right at there. Yeah, I think we made an all-time high. But the thing, I'm gonna follow the price higher with this, because if I do sell, because it can trend higher. The thing is it going to hold overnight into the next trading day up here? If it does, I may just take my profit on the BitU trade, because I'm not trying to be greedy. I'm just trying to, and being perfect doesn't mean like calling out tops and bottoms perfectly. It means understanding the short term risk when it comes to volume shifting, and then where I can potentially reaccumulate. So if I sell, and it's not for sure yet, I'm just looking at it because the structure is a little too good. And I've been very conservative with short term extensions and retracements. So now this is like a more of a medium term extension area, and volume can easily shift from here. If the price decides to continue to just climb higher and break this resistance area, then cool, we're at 128K potentially, and like I'm not gonna whine about it. I'll make more money off of it. But the idea is that we can see some short term weakness, in the sense of the point 0.5 was never broken down here. The idea is that we can come down, actually go back below 118K briefly, and actually this can change because the price is still going up higher. So it's breaking below 120K briefly once again, which will be in line with this support area, and then the more major support area down here, it's more significant. So that's the idea, right? That's the idea. Depending on what the structure looks like tomorrow, I may just sell and then call it good with that trade, lock in the profit, and then reaccumulate at support. If the price trends higher, then cool. Like I'm not, um, I'm just very glad to see that the bull market is still alive, because a lot of people have been fearing. And well, there's no reason to think the bull market's done just yet, because I mean, we haven't broken any major supports. I mean, we were pretty far away from even breaking below 110K right here. Like no major supports were broken. We have a lot of optimism, but again, just like this correction right here, no matter how much optimism there is in the market, we can still see reasonable corrections that just make like weaker short-term traders get pushed out of the market in a sense, right? But the idea is that if Bitcoin is above 124K tomorrow, nearing market close in the US, I may lock in profits. I may not. We will see what the structure looks like. We'll see where we are by the end of market close tomorrow. And then from there, if I do, the idea will be to follow the price higher with these two support areas, and then that'll be the new accumulation area for a new trade if that's the case. But we'll see what happens. Regardless of what happens, and rather than I do so, I still believe 128K can be broken. That's what I'm paying attention to, and of course the bull market is still alive. But I think we made a new all-time high, so we just got to see if the liquidity is enough to actually hold it, or if we're gonna see a lot of short-term potential shorts get liquidated, and maybe, I mean, if we see a lot of liquidations, we can maybe get that retracement. And if we get that retracement earlier than later, if it happens overnight or even early tomorrow, then that'll be fine. That'll be attractive. I won't want to sell. I would actually let the price come down into support, and then from there, I would expect bullish volume to continue to pick up higher and break the 128K area line, I should say. But that's just what we're looking at right now. Things are looking good. That's my target area at the moment. The next target area, there's plenty more ahead of that. But let's talk about Mara real quick. And before I actually jump into like the short term nature of it, you guys gotta remember, because there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people and um that are trading Bitcoin, or trading Mara as a Bitcoin, like if it was a Bitcoin ETF. You guys got to remember that Mara stock is a company that mines Bitcoin, and they have a whole lot of different cash flow elements to them, like the cost of growing their equipment, the quantity of them, the cost of improving their equipment, cost of maintaining all the utilities behind Bitcoin mining, cost of new acquisitions, um, you know, and besides that, growing their actual like holdings. So Mara stock has a lot of different positive, negative cash flow elements to them that Bitcoin doesn't. And Mara stock is not an ETF. A lot of people are trading Mara like if it is, correlated to Bitcoin. It is not. There's a reason why in the bigger picture, and I showed this yesterday. Um, oh wait, one sec. 12 months. Here you go. So there's a reason why every bull market cycle top, at least as of right now, and again, I believe Bitcoin is still super early in its life. But there's a reason why here's a bull market cycle top, here's another top, and then this year, I would expect the next bull cycle top with Bitcoin when it comes, or with Mara when it comes to Bitcoin, it's gonna be lower. As you can see, like this one was at it was trading over 150 bucks. This one was 84, and this one, in my opinion, will be less than 65. It was 84. It will probably be like in the 30s most likely. Because I do believe um it just depends how rate cuts happen. It depends how, where Bitcoin is at during that time, and then how long it takes for investors to pay attention to the reports Mara has when it comes to their mining productivity with however high Bitcoin goes during that time, and then the delay factor by the time the reports come out, and it starts to get reflected on their on their reports. So the idea there is that like Bitcoin, or Mars stock, is not a Bitcoin ETF. It is a company that focuses on Bitcoin. It's not like MSTR, where MSTR is basically becoming an ETF at this moment. It's becoming like a leveraged Bitcoin ETF pretty much. Mara is not. Um, the thing is, right? We gotta pay attention to Mara with their earnings report, how much Bitcoin they're holding, what does their actual um income look like, uh, how much shares do they currently have, how much shares do they continue to issue, and then reflect that on the share price. So as of right now, like there's a reason why Bitcoin is trending higher and making new high, and then Mara is still below $20. There's just a lot of elements behind it, and guys, just I'm trading. I'm paying attention. I'm trading the charts based off of the company itself, not based off of Bitcoin. But the idea is that Bitcoin will trend higher. We'll start to see future quarterly reports reflecting. Their monthly reports are very important, but we'll see quarterly reports reflecting um, their income, their hash rate. Their hash rate is increasing. Their Bitcoin holdings are increasing. But the thing is, there's a reason why in previous videos I said Mara stock can trade within this area for quite some time. We've seen this in 2024, and we traded sideways for like a few months. I think it was like basically half a year of trading sideways. It doesn't have to happen again, of course, but the idea here is that Mara is in an uptrend. We have not gotten any signs that this uptrend has broken. there's a lot of previous fluctuations at higher prices that indicate that there is the potential of value being there, regardless of more issues or more shares being issued. So it's all about what their holdings look like, their hash rates increasing, and then of course the delay factor between Mara and Bitcoin, right? So right now, and we can be in here for a while, and we can even show a little bit of weakness, even go into the 14s. But the point I'm trying to make is that just looking at the chart themselves and understanding that there's going to be rate cuts happening in the future, there's optimism for it. Mara is delayed just because of how much like headline leverage is being, you know, given to the public when trying to make everyone look at Mara. Like, it's still a very young company, so I'm sure a lot of investors are very confused on it. But the point is that if we are in an uptrend right now, we're in an uptrend, just like here where we found the bottom and went up higher, we followed it with a retracement when it topped out. And we, at this time we used it as a accumulation area. And then, well, because the macro is the same where, we're looking for a lot of inflows into growth assets in the future with rate cuts and a lot of even asset inflation. And on top of that, at the end of the day, um, this isn't being factored into the share price too that well. It's still very confusing because it's so young. But like they're acquiring more Bitcoin, they're holding onto a lot of it. They have extremely less debt, basically none compared to other mining companies. And I'm not being biased towards this company or anything, but the thing is that with future expectations where Bitcoin would be, the rate cuts, and of course, a lot of mining income that has not been reflected onto the share price due to waiting on quarterly reports to reflect the current time. Like what's happening right now will not be reflected pretty much till like around New Year's or after that. So there's a massive delay factor. But the idea is that just like in previous structures within this uptrend, we are in an overall retracement, and well, it's attractive because if the price retraced down to an overall retracement, as you can see, the price is holding around that point 0.5, around that pointing the 15.5 price level which is the point 0.5 retracement. It keeps dancing around it, right? If there was a lot of like bearishness or like weakness in the company, we would have seen this downtrend continue. I mean, it's as simple as that, really. So the idea is that no matter how long this takes, um, we are at retracement. We're at decent value when it comes to short-term prices, because then when it's ready to pump, and this takes a while. If you guys remember 2024, we were in a very same setup, and it took like almost half a year. But the idea is that these are attractive prices for a company that is prioritizing the company and growing rather than prioritizing the shareholders. This is what you get. So as of right now, I still believe this is an attractive accumulation zone with the possibility of us, continuing this uptrend and the price potentially breaking over 20K once again, or $20 once again, or even if it retests this previous swing high, like it's still within the take profit zone. There's no reason to be greedy with this stock, but if you just pay attention to overall bigger picture retracements, like we're in a good value zone. It's just being patient with it. I'm gonna keep repeating this in every video until I'm proven wrong or right. Um, if for any reason, and we don't have this just yet, but for any reason, if the price did top out at least for this year, um, and we're actually gonna be going down lower, well, you can always set SLs. You can get SLs at 14, right between the swing low right here and the bottom of the support line, and the next accumulation opportunity, if this ends up being true, very simply will be below $10 once again. And if you guys been keeping track of Mara for a long time like I have, last time it was trading below $10 was crazy amazing. I remember it was such an amazing opportunity last time Mara was below $10. Look at that. And then a massive pump because it was too undervalued. So like even if that happens, like hopefully you guys have SLs and then just wait for it to be below $10. But until that happens, the until that bearishness actually comes true, if it does, well, we're in support. We're in an overall bigger picture support area. It's as simple as that. If the uptrend continues to hold valid, we have a take profit breaking over $20. If you want to be real conservative with it, I mean, you still get a pretty decent like 15% return just on the equity alone if it goes up to like 18 basically. Like it'll be over 10%. But regardless, if you want to be real conservative with it, this downtrend resistance, which is the retracement in yellow, it's still a decent like opportunity to take profit because these retracements tend to be filled. We have a massive value gap right here, a massive value gap that tend to be filled as well. These tend to act as a magnet. So it's as simple as that. I'm gonna repeat this again tomorrow and tell me they're proven wrong or right. Um, Mara is looking real attractive. It's just um, it's just not a quick player a lot of the time, right? So yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one, and yeah, take care.